Hi, my name is Stephanie. I work with drones since 7 years, and I'm one of the founding employees of Wingtra. A couple of years back, I built up sales and marketing for Wingtra, and I sold Wingtra's very first drone. And today, I'm in charge of global sales operations, and I'm thrilled that by now we have reached double-digit million revenue. So Wingtra is a producer, manufacturer, developer of drones for professional use, so for mapping and surveying specialists all around the globe. And we make it really easy to digitize assets frequently. By now, we have sold drones to more than 80 countries, and we have collected over 100,000 of flight by our drone fleet. It's our goal to empower the efficient use of our limited resources, maintaining infrastructure, or protect our biodiversity. And the past 5 years, commercial drones were already delivering data, but it was at too high cost. So it wasn't really affordable to do so. The accuracy wasn't really there, and you never got really the up-to-date data frequently. And so now we have reached a point of convergence where a lot in the industry has happened. So reliability, efficiency, but also ease of use of those drones and these technologies have evolved drastically. And also the whole ecosystem around photogrammetry and all the analytics part also evolved. And Wingtra was a major player in this development. So the Wingtra 1 is a drone, and it's an interplay of simplistic hardware design and cutting-edge software. So the drone as such delivers high-quality data, mostly for large-scale surveys. And so the vertical takeoff and landing capability, but also the high-quality data, the reliability, they all make it really a popular tool by our users all around the globe. So who are our users? And I certainly want to dive into some of our customer stories. So 2019, a cyclone drove a bulk carrier into a reef close to Solomon Islands. And this resulted in a crack of the hull, and it resulted also in an oil spill. And it was actually receiving quite some media attention because it was close to a UNESCO World Heritage. And so they called this Canadian team, which are experts in shoreline cleanup. And you can see here Mike on the left on the picture. He brought along his Wingtra 1 from Canada and flew around half the world with it. And based on, or with the data of this drone, so they created basically an orthomosaic, which is a 2D map. And they could segment and classify the whole beach stretch according to the oiling, but also topographical features and also substrate. And this used to be done hand-drawn. So they usually went there and kind of draw what was happening and kind of indicating by hand what are the features of this of the coastline. And so for Mike, it was a huge step forward to use Wingtra 1 to actually gain more situational awareness. Another customer of ours is Gabriel, and he's a research professor at the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. And he's also a manager of the Climate Hazards Program of Alaska. And a current project, or one of their research they are currently doing, is monitoring a glacier and a glacial lake that is situated behind that glacier. And the glacier functions like a dam for the water behind it. And they are monitoring this glacier and the flux through the seasons quite closely, because in a catastrophic event, all the water from this behind the glacier could drain at once and flood the river, and with that, the communities surrounding this river and the critical infrastructure. So with the drone, they could just take it to the glacier, fly it also with very limited space at hand, and cover this whole glacier. So they were able to create digital elevation models from it, but also they could calculate volumes and really see very nicely how the activities of this glacier is throughout the different seasons. We also have another customer in Serbia, and they are a precision agriculture company, and they have a project where they develop sustainable farming practices. So they use the Wingtra 1, and they collect thermal and multispectral images. And based on these images, they reveal basically, for example, devastation, or as well the plant health. And only in their first year, they were collecting over 300 surveys with this drone. The goal here is also to reduce the resources used, so using less fertilizer, using less water, and also using less pesticides. But also for construction, the drone is really great. So there is this energy firm in Illinois in the US, and they were planning to build a new solar farm. And they were planning to do that in a area surrounded with wetlands, and so it was hardly accessible. But they needed a very precise topographical model. So they also used Wingtra for that, and they got a terrain model, but also generally the 2D map to plan the construction of this the assets. They were mapping 690 hectares in 12 flights, so that's 1,300 football fields in just 12 flights. So these were just a few examples that show how Wingtra contributes also to a sustainable economy. And over the next decade, we could be reducing tons of CO2 emissions just by using less fertilizer or by simply substituting manned aircrafts for doing these type of surveys. We have reached product market fit, and we have great traction from early adopters, and we're now ready to fully scale into mass usage. So we have dozens of key accounts that started working with Wingtra, and right now, beyond the profitable drone sales, we are ready or well positioned to monetize this fleet also with software and service subscriptions. We also have a lot of partners, so it's more than 70 well-established equipment resellers that are within on this mission. So they take Wingtra into their portfolio and sell it along with a high-end surveying equipment. If you wonder, okay, why Wingtra? Here it's just a very brief graph that shows that the whole lifetime cost of Wingtra are just low below of what our competition can do. So last but not least, Wingtra is an ETH spin-off, and we're a blend of young entrepreneurs. We are service-oriented sales professionals, brilliant software developers and engineers, and also very dedicated tech support experts. We are more than 100 Wingtronauts currently. Yes, and so over the next years, we want to dominate the data capture or acquisition of these industries. And we're always very curious to also get to learn new customers, new partners. We're also preparing our Series B, so if you feel like you're the right partner to join on this mission in becoming the dominant data acquisition company, then please feel free to get in touch. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. We do have a couple of minutes for questions. If anyone has anything they would like to ask Stephanie from Wingtra.
Hello.
Hi.
Olivia from Ace & Company. What are the overlaps and use cases with satellite imagery? Are there a lot in your customer base?
So the satellite is more, it's higher, right? And so the drone-based data is much closer to the ground, and with that you have much like a higher resolution. So typically the customers of ours, they need like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter pixel as per pixel. So the whole accuracy topic is quite different.
Okay. And sorry, do you know what that is for satellite data?
Yeah, so for satellites, it really depends. So there are also newer versions from like the Sentinel, but typically satellites, I think that the best ones or the ones that are more popular are something between 30 centimeters, but they go also up to 10 meters. So it's an order of magnitude there.
Thank you.
Sure.
How is the cost of the data acquisition compared to satellites?
Yeah, so this really depends on the satellite data. So you probably have a maybe a subscription to the satellite data that you can access. And here, in terms of drones, you really have the flexibility. So you have the drone in-house, and you fly whenever you need it. So it really depends on as well how often you fly, how regularly you want to have your asset pictured.